Well, the president of Kosovo has been accused of war crimes, including the murders of nearly 100 people during the War of Independence with Serbia. A special prosecutor in The Hague has indicted the country's leader and 9 former separatist fighters. President Hashim Thaçi commanded the rebel Kosovo Liberation Army forces 22 years ago. More than 10,000 people died in the war and over 1,500 are still unaccounted for. The leader of the main Kosovan opposition party, Kadri Veseli, is among those accused. Prosecutors say both Thaçi and Veseli had tried to obstruct the work of the tribunal. Well, Euronews journalist Jürgen Samso is standing by in the Serbian capital, Belgrade. Well, good evening to you there. So, Jürgen, can you tell us a little bit more about the charges that Hashim Thaçi is facing?
Yes, good evening. Yeah, these are really damaging charges against, I guess, any sitting president, but against Hashim Thaçi, the Kosovo president, it comes at a time when it's been a long process. It's been 20 years since the fighting stopped, more than 2 decades ago. And some of the charges, they're really, it's quite a mouthful. It ranges from crimes against humanity, war crimes, including murder, enforced disappearance of person, persecution and torture. So it really seems like this judicial aftermath has taken a long time, but finally it seems like the past is coming back to haunt the sitting Kosovo president.
Yeah, Jürgen, and not long after this indictment was made, Thaçi has cancelled a much anticipated trip to Washington. What are the implications of that?
Yeah. This comes at a very precarious moment, just as Kosovo and Serbia, who are trying to settle their dispute over the Kosovo. It comes at a moment where they're both leaders, the Serbian president and the Kosovo president, has been invited to the White House, where the U.S. have sort of been taking a lead in those peace talks. And it comes at a moment where they were supposed to meet and to give momentum again to these to solve this long-standing dispute. So that trip has now been cancelled due to this indictment of the Kosovo president. And this is at a moment where also the EU has been trying to get these peace talks going. The EU Special Representative, Mr. Lajčák, has been in Pristina and has been in Belgrade just this week. So this U.S. taking a lead in the Kosovo and Serbia peace talks has now been put on hold, and now it's, I guess, so to speak, up in the air what is going to happen next now that the Kosovo president is under a lot of pressure.
Okay, questions over what will happen next. Jürgen Samso, many thanks. Now let's speak to Vesela Černeva, Deputy Director of the European Council on Foreign Relations. Hello there to you. Many thanks for joining us on the programme. First of all, what's your take on these charges that Hashim Thaçi is facing, and in particular the timing?
I think this process was a legal one, which, however, has a very important political effect. Thaçi was betting on the U.S. to get out of this legal process and had a very strong anti-EU rhetoric. He was seeing Washington as a source of political legitimacy, even of impunity. And this decision of the court basically undercut his ambition. This meeting that was supposed to happen on Saturday and may still happen, I assume the Kosovo Prime Minister will go instead, was supposed to deliver the only foreign policy success for Trump. His special envoy for the Balkans, Richard Grenell, a former ambassador to Germany, was very much betting also for his own career on signing some sort of a document between Serbia and Kosovo. Now, with Thaçi not going and probably being pressed to resign, all of this will have much less of importance.
So much less importance, and you're saying there Thaçi has really engaged in anti-EU rhetoric. So where does that leave the EU now in its relations with Kosovo and, well, I suppose a troubled Kosovan leadership?
Indeed, I think this is a very important moment for the EU to prove that it can fulfill the UN Security Council resolution, which has given the EU the leading role in settling the dispute between Serbia and Kosovo. And your colleague just mentioned Miroslav Lajčák having been in the region. It will not be easy for the EU to restart the dialogue, however, because for many, this whole process, this whole trial may have also looked as, you know, the former Kosovo freedom fighters have been indicted, and the former Milosevic minister, who is now the president of Serbia, Mr. Vučić, is free and stronger than ever.
Now, you mentioned that Hashim Thaçi might have to resign over this indictment. So what will this mean for political stability in Kosovo?
It will probably mean that we will see a couple of very turbulent months because we do have now a government which has not been elected through a popular vote. Mr. Hoti has been appointed to become the prime minister, and his patron was Mr. Thaçi. So I assume that now we will see the cards being dealt again. And maybe Mr. Kurti, who remains to the most popular politician in Kosovo, will really decide to go to early elections.
So if the cards are dealt again, then it's a difficult question, but where would that leave peace efforts with Serbia?
Well, the process, the so-called dialogue between Serbia and Kosovo is a tedious one. It has a lot of technical elements in it. It has a political aspect. It has economic aspect. And I think from now on, with all emotions being stirred again, at the end of the day, they will have to go back to the negotiation table. And this is where the EU can really help, because the EU can invest in the region, the EU can help the region economically. And this is obviously also about the future of Kosovo and Serbia. And that future is clearly related much more to the EU than to any other player.
OK, so the ball could be in the EU's court again. Well, thanks so much, Vesela Cheneva there.